Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are getting ready to get started. I am Latanya Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the priestess of purpose, pleasure, passion, and profits. And I am ready to jump right into this conversation. Hey, love. Chantel says, hey, my juice. Wait a minute, let me get it up there. Good afternoon, Mama and tribe. All right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let me see. I want to add this. I think I need to add this to our Facebook. Here we go. Okay. I'm not going to be up here long today. The reason why I won't be here long today is because we had such a thorough conversation the other day in Rebirth Woman, and people are still tapping in and tuning in to that conversation. So today's build is going to be more from there, because I learned something from you all, and I want to share what I learned. I learned something very powerful from the tribe in that conversation. So I want to present a couple of things to you as we build today. Okay. So I'm going to share this part. Share my screen. I want to share something with you. Let's see. Hopefully I got it on the right thing. So check this out. I don't know if you saw this post, but I want to launch the conversation from here. I'm going to play it again just in case the sound is low. Let me get that sound together. All right. Let's get it together here. Why can't I hear it? Can you hear it? Uh-oh, what's going on? Hey, queen. Hey, queen. There we go. Whatever you dream. Hey, queen. You are not alone. Hey, queen. You can have whatever you dream. Hey, queen. You are not alone. Hey, queen. You can have whatever you dream. Hey, queen. The soft life requires an unlearning of going hard, being hard, or the stories that harden your heart. I want us to dive into that a little bit more today. Okay. I wanted us to dive into this a little bit more today. I got another piece for you here. Okay. If you see me looking up, it's because I'm looking over here. I want to share something with you. I want to lay this foundation. Now, I promised you that today we were going to build from the conversation that we had on Monday. Because on Monday, what we looked at was the context of our contradictions. Why is it that melanated women are having a hard time jumping into this conversation? And I particularly appeal to you, Generation X, because you have millennials who are leading this conversation because they're burnt out, exhausted, and tired from chasing the bag. They finally are getting burnt out, exhausted from chasing the bag. And many Generation X'ers are also exhausted, but pissed off about it in many ways. Because you say we had to do it. Many of us feel like we had to raise ourselves. We had to figure it out. You know, many Generation X'ers are just now getting therapy and talking about these things. So when we look at the feminine, when we look at the idea of the soft life I started asking every woman, what does it mean to you? What does the soft life mean to you? And the answers that came reflected both the generation and the life experience in the tribe. In fact, that thread is still live right now, it's still popping. I asked a lot of questions. Spirit was really working with me that day. Look at my little brace necklace doing its thing, sitting up here. Let it sit on the girls and get it together. So if I look at that, I'll get twisted up. So I'm asking you to consider that part of the conversation, because why is it that we have amnesia? Why is it that melanated women have amnesia when we start to have these conversations about the feminine? When it comes to these conversations about the soft life and living soft, why is it that we like to be called queen, and we love to throw that title around, or we call each other queen, but when we look at our lives, we don't oftentimes have a reference point of what it's like to sit on a throne? Or why is it that we tend to think of queening or soft life as an escape from responsibility, or a way out rather than a way in, or liberation? But I ask all these questions. Have you ever considered it? Or have we just thrown around the fantasies of it the same way we do when it comes to love and relationships? We have a fantasy that's been created through romance novels and crafty producers who have a short period of time to tell a story. So when it comes to love and romance, and so we go, and now we don't want to work for anybody, so we want to be entrepreneurs. And most of the time when we want to be entrepreneurs, it happens by default. It happens because circumstances, just like you may be a single mother by circumstances, or just like you may have fallen into the responsibilities that you now carry. Right? And so when it comes to this thing now, I notice that there's a muting that's happening for a lot of Gen X'ers, and especially on more on the baby boomer side. You don't even engage the conversation of the soft life. And so we had a come to Jesus kind of conversation where we needed to look at, we can't, when we look at the Queen's piece, when I had the master class of us getting our business in order to reposition ourselves to prosper, reposition our families and our legacy and our foundation. Many of us are still in survival mode. We see it as robbing Peter to pay Paul when it comes to investing in ourselves, when it comes to doing something different. We still have a romantical relationship even with our businesses. So then when you get into entrepreneurship and it requires something of you, you don't know your archetype. You don't know the hidden contracts that you are operating on and in. You don't know, when you try to live somebody else's life, what it's costing you. Are we clear on what we're talking about today? The contradictions of reluctant leaders, because that's many of you. Many of you are the ones that you have been waiting for, but you get tired. You ask why. You want somebody else to take the responsibility, but what about the marketplace woman? That's an archetype. What if you are the one who's been called to be the one in your bloodline? No matter your vocation now. What if that means to an end is over and it's time for you to pivot? I'm just asking some questions. I'm just here to make you think a little bit. So we have millennials calling for the soft life. And who's answering the call? Because Generation X, you've been quiet. I'm Gen X, I can call you out. I feel like sometimes I'm talking to myself. Now, it's one thing when I have done juicy. I understand the religious mind who gets conflicted around pleasure and your spirituality coexisting. I get the understand. I get it when we have a conflict of pleasure and spirit coexisting. I love to work and massage that sweet space until we get what we call juicy spirit. And we're going to have juicy spirit again, but this is not that. Because this time that we're in of chaos is calling for us to rise to a certain occasion, but many of us are reluctant to do it. There's a power struggle not outside of ourselves. You can talk about the power struggle in the boardroom and women being in positions of power and leadership, but what about the power struggle that's inside of us? What about the power struggle that's inside of our families? What about the power struggle there? Can we talk about it? My wardrobe is malfunctioning. Can we talk about it? I love those of you who are coming in and saying hello. Oh, wait a minute. I got my brother here. What is it costing you to live someone else's life? That's a question right there. My brother's here. I definitely want you to jump in. Our sisters are saying hello to the tribe. Come on in the room. Again, I'm not going to be here that long today. I made that promise. So let's go. I want us to look at something because we've been talking about archetypes at the end of this part of the Feminine Abundance series. We go live with the workshop on Saturday, Live Your Divine Design, how to discover your feminine source code. We go live for this masterclass working session. And this is an ongoing work, and in many ways, that conversation will be introductory, but I want to show you how it's right in your face. It's right in your face. You've been entertained and couldn't see it. So let me go on and go here really quickly. I want to show this to you as well, because I told you that we did this work on Iyanla Fix My Life. Yes. So I want to show you many faces of this thing called the feminine, the queen, leadership, and how it could possibly look. So we're going to start first with one of our shows. Okay? All right. Let's do that. Now, hopefully I get the volume together.
Before we start our work together, I want Miss Lisa Ray to understand that there is a great deal of work, hard internal work. If she is to become the true queen she is destined to be, and the work of a queen is not easy.
There's your throne and your crown. But to get there, we have to sit in these valleys. I think you've been through most of them, but I think you missed the lesson in some. So before you leave here, I want you up there. But the work we have to do here, the valley of understanding, means to get up underneath a thing and stand in the truth of what it is. And it's going to take courage. Dr. Maya Angelou said courage is doing what you know needs to be done before you're forced to do it. And sometimes we don't do that because we go into resistance and denial and fear. And I want you to be able not to resistance and to see it when it comes up. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the valley of OPP, other people's problems, other people's purposes. That's why it's very important for you to have your purpose and intent clear about everything so that you can reach a level of success. Not out here, baby, in here. Right now, my job is to take you through those valleys and put you in that throne.
Now.
Okay. Now, when you're invited to do this work, I also posted this. I want to show you this that I posted because I have to go over these things because we move so fast that oftentimes we don't digest anything. We just like a post and we don't take a moment with it. And here's what I want you to consider. I just want you to consider it today. You won't put on your crown until you stop putting off the work. Now, I understand the work sometimes makes us fearful that something more is required of thee. And if you like good gospel music, then you know Shekinah Glory said, if I told you what was required of thee, would you still say yes? So we want the juicy. We want the soft life. We want to be taken care of. Let's talk about the translation of that. We want to be taken care of. We want to know that we have security. We want a soft place to land. It's not that we're unwilling to work and to build. We want a soft place to land. Am I walking down your street when we talk about these feminine things, but yet we're reluctant yet to lead, to stand up in it? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Can we keep going? Can we keep going? Talk back to me. I'm not going to do all the work today. I want you to work with me. Now, that's one prototype for you to look at. Now I want to present another one for you to consider, another one just in case, because I know we are about our businesses, and the point of the Queen's piece, the point of these workshops is so that we can get into a space to even be able to receive, because the truth is all of this about the soft life is about being able to receive. Now here is a segment that I want you to consider. I'm going to have to click around, but this was a hot topic. And this was the show I always talk about that we had to fight for. I'm going to scroll down and just jump right into it right here.
Those pieces of us, we as women have been living up to the world's expectations. They make us think feeling is bad and crying is bad. They give us names like angry and bitch, and, you know. Why is it different for us as women?
It feels like it because it feels like you're always on, you know, or have to be.
I was told that.
You were?
Yeah.
By who?
By program directors saying that nobody cares.
Now, did you notice that it said the power broker? Now we've been talking about archetypes. And I'm showing you this to encourage you to do your work. Because these are 4 women who are in front of you that you admire, that have all the money and all the success. But Luther said a house is not a home. When there's no one there. Okay, come on, let's keep.
Cares about your day or your emotions. You have to block it out and keep pressing forward.
Unfortunately, we don't know how else to be. We don't know how to be women. We know how to be men in skirts.
Come on. Oh, wow.
So let me ask you this. Do you have any idea why I have the 4 of you here together?
For support.
How about because you're all the same person?
Okay. Now I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there because I don't know how OWN and all of the screeners will block out the broadcast of this particular channel. I have something because of just showing you a segment. I do not own the rights to that, but I want to keep going. Okay. I want to keep going. I want to keep going because there's more. Then when we start talking about queens, particularly for us who are indigenous to these Americas, when we start talking about queens, we're giving a limited reference point of queens. We're giving a limited perspective of queens. And then we get a broadcast oftentimes of why is it, I don't want to get too political. I have the answer, but I'm just going to ask you have you ever thought about it? Why is it that we are directed to Europe? And why are we directed to look at the broadcast of when the Queen comes and when this happens and there? Why that? Why is that your only reference point? what has happened to the amnesia of melanated women? Why is it that we don't know these things? And then when we're given other references, now we have Queen Nzinga, and we have what the new movie out with what's her name? Y'all help me out. There's a conversation rising around queens. Put it in the chat and I'll call it out. But there's more. But why do we have to be reminded of things like this? Why do we have to be this has to be told to us? What have you ever asked? Why don't I already know this? Why wasn't I presented? And I'm going to give you another quick segment, and I'll drop the link in Rebirth Woman. But I want you to also take a look at this as well.
We have Queen Gudi of Ethiopia. Queen Gudi is known by several names such as Yodith, Judith, and Esato. She was an Ethiopian queen believed to have existed around 970 AD. According to the Encyclopedia of African History and Culture, very little is known about Queen Gudi beyond scattered references in ancient texts and oral history. Most believe that she was vehemently opposed to the monophysite beliefs of the Ethiopian Christian Church at the time. And
okay, I want you to hear she was vehemently opposed to an institution. There's a theme when I drop this link. I do want you to look at it in Rebirth Woman, whether I do it in the group or in our thread or both. I want you to see if you can find the theme even in this short segment. Let's pick up again. She was vehemently opposed to the Ethiopian Christian Church.
Designed a plan to utterly destroy the Aksumite Empire in the 10th century. Her armies razed churches and destroyed the countryside. Some believe that she was an Algol-speaking woman from the southwest region, and also some believe that she alone ushered in the new Zagwe dynasty, as her exploits left Aksum weak. Following the destruction of Aksum, Queen Gudi is said to have maintained a 40-year rule over a region historians believe may actually have been Aksum. Islamic texts have reported how after claiming the throne, her co-ruler, known only by the title of Habani, was forced into exile in Showa, where he died in 970 AD. Other sources that mention the queen include a letter sent by the last Aksumite king to church officials in Alexandria, Egypt, that pleaded in vain for their intercession. Honestly, Queen Gudi is an enigma because we know so little about her, but her impact on Ethiopian history is huge. The fact that one queen could have so much influence and power to change the course of an ancient Ethiopian empire is nothing short of exceptional. Our next African ruler is Queen Nzinga of Angola. Queen Nzinga was an African queen of the 17th century during a time when the Portuguese were trying to gain control of the region of Angola. Queen Nzinga is remembered as a great diplomat and warrior.
Pausing here, a great diplomat and warrior. We're getting archetypes all the time. These archetypes have hidden contracts and they have overt contracts. This is a great story because you can now go watch it, I believe, on Netflix and see she was not dainty. She did not have a soft life, yet there was a softness about her when it was time. There was a way that she even pursued pleasure and used it in her favor. Come on now, let's keep going.
During her reign, the Portuguese could not get a stronghold over the region, and it is this reason why Queen Nzinga should always be remembered. Nzinga brilliantly played on African and European politics to position herself in power. She formed alliances with the Dutch to counter Portuguese influence, and she installed herself as singular regent on the thrones of Ndongo and Matamba. Portuguese alliance with other Africans in the region posed serious problems for Queen Nzinga, but ultimately they were unable to meet their objectives as long as she lived. How she was able to...
Hey, did you hear that? That she had opposition. So don't think you're doing something wrong when you have opposition for the calling on you. Let me keep going.
To survive the threats of African and European powers was quite impressive, serving as a model example for the diaspora today. Because of her accomplishments, a statue of her stands tall in Angola today. Next, we have Queen Tiye of ancient Egypt. Queen Tia was the wife of Amenhotep III in the 14th century BC. Even though she did not reign exclusively or independently, she makes my list because she did hold considerable power during her husband's reign. Queen Tia is celebrated for her intelligence and work ethic. She was well aware of the socio-political needs of Egypt, and she held administrative functions to aid Amenhotep III in his rule. Queen Tia sometimes instructed imperial affairs and directed royal officials. The fact that she was mentioned by foreign rulers in correspondence says a lot about her agency in Africa and abroad. As an honorable mention, I wanted to...
Okay. I know it's good, but we're going to stop. What, do you see a theme? Did you hear a theme? Just in the 3 that we went through. Huh? I'm asking. Talk back to me. Thank you, my brother. He said he appreciates the historical inserts. Welcome, Demonica. Yes, we don't know our own history. We're just feeding off the media. Yes, yes. Greetings, Madrina. All right. Our brother says there are stories that must continue to forever be a part of our oral tradition. I'm glad you mentioned the oral tradition. That's one thing that is important for us to know. It was oral. When you come into African traditional religion, when you start doing this ancestral work, when we start to activate parts of our feminine soul, even our work is oral. To speak out loud your desires, to know, even when you know that you're tired. Oral. The oral. It's an oral history, but it's also an oral process that we get to look at. So when we look at what has happened, when did we stop talking? When did we stop telling our stories? When did our mothers get silenced? When did we become mute? So when we see millennials and even Gen Z who are calling us out and speaking to things, even when they are sometimes commercializing the feminine, prostituting the feminine unconsciously, because they're not gatekeeping the way many of us have seen and been conditioned to gatekeeping. So they're talking about it on Instagram. They're talking about businesses on Instagram. They're telling you secrets, age-old secrets that many of us had to pay for. We had to go through rites of passage for. We had to go through elders who were unkind, go through traditions that held a grip on us and on our freedom of expression. Come on now, am I in the room by myself? So when we look at our reluctance to the idea of the soft life, it's deeper than just I'm tired. Psychologically, there's something that has happened. So when you are the one that's being called on, not by anybody outside of yourself, but by the ancestors that live within you, it's not an accident. So don't be mute. Don't ignore this call. We have to reframe even how we carry the idea of being a kept woman, especially if you haven't seen it, because women learn by what we see from other women. So listen, I got one more for you. This is what you saw, Tony? Am I capturing what you saw? You said the themes of the woman were apparent based on the history we know now. Did they understand their archetype during their journey? Well, they certainly were unapologetic about it. That's for sure. And that's why I picked one from Ethiopia, one from ancient Egypt, one from Africa. But there are many, and there are many who existed right in our own family line. This came from those of you who are coming in late. This came and was born from a conversation that we had in our tribe, asking you all, what is the soft life to you? And we found that there's a reluctance to lead. There's a reluctance to queening. There's a reluctance. There's a reluctance to getting our business handled. Reluctance to getting life insurance. There's a reluctance because we don't know what we don't know of how to invest in kryptonite. So we've been made afraid of everything. We're afraid that we're going to be taken advantage of by foreign currencies. We're afraid that if I invest in this culture, in this training, it's not going to give me what I need. So I get attracted to fool's gold. And then I tell myself, well, I'm not investing anymore. Oh, come on now. I'm just talking about how it shows up in the culture. This is what you saw, Jeannie, just confirming. You said that the divine feminine is not soft. There's a balance with the masculine within. I would say Queen Nzinga was not soft by appearance initially, but certainly not by responsibilities. But the movie does capture her softness if you've seen the movie. Bessie says there is something deep saying this is not the way. There's so much more with my present life. Yes, yes, yes. Tony says my struggle is the shedding while learning and becoming all that I am in the same place. Okay, y'all keep it coming. Chantel says we're afraid because of what we've seen and how we have been taken advantage of. Yes, healing. This, even you being oral now, you're setting another woman free who's watching this, who doesn't have a space to speak it, where we're not hosting these types of conversations, or we're doing it on such a surface level that it's only conversation, but we're not attaching our coin to it. Let me keep going. I have something else for you. I think I do. Let's see what else I have for you, just to close out this part of the dialogue. Here's another queen, if you will, a queen prototype, a queen archetype. You keep on talking. I'm going to capture what you're saying. Here's another one I want you to see. Yes, it's from Fix My Life, because this was our work. When we worked with women, when I invite you to a workshop or a training, I want you to look at your opportunity to do this in small bite-sized pieces. Yes. Look.
Before I eat you. Living with a comedian is a mess.
Anytime I try to explain myself, it literally turns into an attack.
Being a female comedian and a mother, if you don't build a block, you'll cry every day.
To her, it looked like you closed the door and went on about your business.
I don't want to think that I hurt my baby.
We don't always recognize the masks we wear are a part of our baggage. And the more sacred we hold the baggage, the more chiseled the mask becomes.
Okay, I think I'm going to stop right there. The more sacred we hold the baggage, the more chiseled the mask becomes. So then we become reluctant to lead, reluctant to answer the call to our feminine leadership, because no one has taught us. We don't see investing in that as a priority to learn and unlearn. So we want a quick way. We want a quick way out. We want a cheat sheet. How is it going to get me the $10,000, the $30,000, the $50,000? I want to make $10,000 a month. I got to take care of my family. One sister asked me in our session the other day, why is it wrong when I'm the one that has to take care of the family that I got to do this? And I want to speak to the have to. Because some of us are telling ourselves that we have to because we don't know what it's like to surrender. We don't know. We're afraid that if I stop, it's all going to fall apart. And so we end up carrying heavier loads or conditioning people to rely on us and not put in as much work. That's why we have a generation that's so much softer, so much more sensitive and intolerant. I left it on the comment of we're afraid. So do you understand? Yes, Tony, you said we don't recognize the mask that we wear. I often talk about the archetype now of these housewives and reality TV people. All of them are operating. There's a bad girl on there. There's the sacred whore archetype is usually there. Yes, it is. There's a mother of the bunch. Yes, it is. It's all there, playing out in front of you with somebody else's spin on it. And so when somebody else feeds you and you don't know who you are, you're not grounded, you haven't feasted on the truth of who you are, you'll accept anything that's being told to you about who you are, where you come from. So let me close this out. I invited you to join and to experience the workshop on Saturday, Live Your Divine Design, because I want for my sisters what I want for myself. There were times when I would invest in coaches who had skirts on and red bottoms, but they had black hearts and really had a man's pair of pants and suit on mentally. And it did not work for me. They had not done any spiritual work, any foundational work. They didn't know anything about being an empath, a sensitive. They had just taken a Stephen Covey training or whoever you want to put out there from other men. Many of us have been trained like white men on how to do business. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing if that's your way, if that works for you. And there are some of us in our blueprint where we have more masculine energy in our chart, in our design, where we absolutely thrive in those settings. But most of it is learned behavior. So if there's a learned behavior in our training, in our process, there's an unlearning. It's not just when you take one workshop, one retreat, and then you beat yourself up. I did. I know I did. I couldn't understand why I had been investing thousands and thousands of dollars using their blueprint and not getting the exact same results. So a part of it is hype. A part of it is marketing, because many coaches go to school to learn how to sell you, not how to set you free. Many of them don't go to medicine woman school. Yeah. I know that's tight, but am I lying? I'm not going to say it's right, but it's for right now. How about that? So when I invite you to certain things like this, it's just like with Juicy. When I led with how you can have more orgasms, you can attract your mate and your lover, there was no hesitation in inboxes and asking questions about signing up. You like, I'm there. I have friends that teach classes on how to give blowjobs. She don't have any problem with anybody signing up. But who do they call when the women start showing up, telling the truth of what the real resistance and the real reluctance is? Because this is not the season for surface level. This is not even the year for us to deal with the surface level. Now, let me close out with this. You are invited to sign up and to join. Hey, Queen, you are not alone. Come and see where you sit in your queenship, in your reluctance, even to your queenship, to your soft life, to whatever your desires are. Mainly your communication, your coin, your coupling. Yeah, however you couple. But let me say this week, this is one of the most intense and important weeks of the year, next to the Lion's Gate. Now, if you don't believe in astrology and you don't understand cosmic events, I understand that, but just listen to me. Because even when you don't understand it, your body and your DNA knows it. Even when your intellectual understanding does not encompass the mystical and the ancient wisdom, it's still happening. We are in a very intense season. We're in the pre-shadow of a Mercury retrograde, on a new moon, and an eclipse. As women, you feel that. It shows up in your cycling, in your ovulation. It shows up in your energy. I already got emails and notes about meltdowns because of the energy surges and the shifts in the planet. The Taurus season is the most important season to program your prosperity. But who taught you to program it, except for New Year's, which isn't even in alignment with your circadian rhythm? What's a circadian rhythm? We don't even know the language. So when you come and you listen to someone like me, you're like, I don't understand that because it doesn't fit in my westernized, colonized language. I'm not making fun of you, but I could have been you had I not had experiences early enough that started me on a certain path. It's not too late. It's not too late. This is an intense season. And this retrograde season and energy lasts until May 14th. And we don't just come out of it. We're already in an intense season. 7 is they call it the lucky strike because of the way that the 7 is the lightning strike rather. And when you're doing this inner work, it's going to take you deeper by choice or by force. So I'm inviting you to choose you. I'm inviting you to show up for you. I'm inviting you to unlearn and relearn so that you can make choices that go with the grain, with the flow of your feminine and not against it. That's all. That's all I'm doing. And we're going to do that. The link is in the bio or in the description below. Or you can inbox me for a direct link if you'd like to join me on Saturday. There's still time. There's a to-pay available and all of that. So as I close out, what are some of the aha moments? And now that I'm going to show you what happens when before I get off the live, I start stripping like this. Like I'm I start taking everything off. But in your process, what is it that you heard that was an aha, a favorite frame, or a moment that you want to capture in our sharing today? Because while I'm talking and presenting, your spirit is also speaking to you. I want to close out with you being the speaker, with you talking. Tell me what you heard. Okay? We got one. Jeannie said, Queen, say yes, sign up. Okay, yeah, come on in. The more the merrier. We'll have more fun. Our brother says, train like a white man, execute like a black woman. That's the title of a book. Ooh. All right, come on. Any favorite frames, aha moments, or digestions that you are receiving and processing? You said you want for us what you want for yourself. Yes, I do. I want it for you, but I can't want it for you more than you. Oh, Rafaela says this is so much confirmation. All right now. All right. My brother says it's a good reference to the housewives. All the archetypes are there for sure. Yes, the storyline continues over and over again. And repetition is the mother of skill. But repetition, when you start receiving messages over and over again, you are being programmed. And so you have to reprogram yourself. You have to defrag your own software and upload new information on how you want your computer, your hard drive to work. Yes. So Sister Rafaela says, get out of your mind and back into your heart and your womb. Yes. Ashe, ashe. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Is there more? I want to capture all of your digestions. Any questions? Yes, you can send them to me. Jeannie says, Taurus season, program my abundance, confirmation for another 40-day process. I'm doing another one. Yep. I'm listening to some things that are going to program me in my sleep. Yes. Bessie says the soft life is being strategic. Yes, indeed. It's more of working smarter, not harder, right? And it's also about surrendering so much control. We're so used to being in control that many of us have anxiety when we think about not being in control. All right. So if I've captured most of your ahas, your digestions, your favorite frames in our conversation today, I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. There are ways to work with me privately, and I invite you to explore those ways. I am offering readings, wellness readings, as well as mental health or mental wealth processes, so that we can position ourselves to prosper. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a wonderful day, ladies, and my brothers who join and love Black women and all melanated women, or just love women. Okay. Ciao.